Watch Dogs series is dead and buried, it's claimed. In a new post on Twitter, known leaker Jonathan has claimed that they believe the Watch Dogs series is dead and buried, possibly due to the poor performance of Watch Dogs Legion. Despite the perception of the series, Ubisoft's AAA games frequently sell just fine. The Watch Dogs series has solid performances for the first two games. The original game hit 10 million copies sold in 2014. Watch Dogs 2 launched in 2016, selling 10 million units by March of 2020. However, Watch Dogs Legion received mixed reviews from the fanbase. On Metacritic, Legion's user rating currently stands at a 6.2, a steep drop from Watch Dogs 2's 7.7. Ubisoft is yet to comment on the future of the Watch Dogs series. I'll provide a link to this article in the description so you guys can go and check it out for yourselves. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video, and we're back on Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. And as you can tell from reading that article, it looks as if the Watch Dogs series might meet its end. For anybody who doesn't know what the Watch Dogs franchise was about, it was basically another open world IP that was developed by Ubisoft, where they put a lot of emphasis and focus on hacking and manipulating the open world with your hacking abilities. The idea of being able to hack a variety of different devices within your surroundings in an open world like Chicago in the first Watch Dogs game, it's something that we haven't seen many developers tackle in their respective video games. In my personal experience, I honestly had a really great time tackling the concept of being able to hack a variety of different devices within the open world to try to use the environment to my advantage to tackle any enemies that came my way. I honestly thought it was a really cool concept, especially when you take into account that Ubisoft, they really haven't bothered to get that creative in terms of how to evolve the open world genre with what you can do within the open worlds that they develop. What we were able to hack within the open world of Chicago in the first Watch Dogs game, it was really cool, albeit it could have been improved upon and expanded on even further, but what we got as the foundation, it really was exciting, especially when you take into account that there's a bunch of other things that they could have expanded on in terms of what you could hack. The gameplay mechanics in the first Watch Dogs game were pretty good. You did have some of the parkour mechanics that were from other Ubisoft entries like Assassin's Creed and so forth. Hacking in the game was pretty good, although it could have been improved upon and expanded further, which we did get in later entries. As far as the story goes, while it's not everybody's favorite, for me personally, I thought the story in Watch Dogs 1 was the strongest one in the whole series by far. In Watch Dogs 2, that was where we saw a tremendous improvement in almost every aspect of the series. The gameplay mechanics were improved upon significantly, driving became a whole lot more arcadey, although it felt a bit more easier to control, I would say. The things you were able to hack in the environment were improved upon tremendously. Instead of just being able to hack steam pipes, bridges, and traffic lights, you were able to hack NPCs to the point to where that you were able to call gang members or cops on them by giving them a false criminal record. Not only that, but you were also able to hack vehicles that you could use for your personal joyrides, because normally you would have to go into the vehicle to drive it as normal, but in the second Watch Dogs you were able to get on top of a vehicle and hack it to like go into different directions that again you could use for your own personal joyride. Open world I thought was one of the best parts about Watch Dogs 2, but I would also say that the open world in that game is honestly the best one that we have gotten in the whole trilogy. I would even go as far as to say that the open world of San Francisco in Watch Dogs 2 gives far greater immersion than any of the other two open worlds that you got to explore in the other two games. Like, I played a good amount of Watch Dogs 2, enough to be able to see what the open world was all about, and I can honestly say Ubisoft did a damn good job. They did a damn good job of replicating the vibe of San Francisco for the player to immerse themselves in. You were able to put on a variety of different clothing on your character. You were able to put on skins for not only your weapons and gadgets, but also for your vehicles as well. Not only that, but the skill tree that you had for your abilities was expanded upon even further, especially with what you were able to do with the character that you were playing as. Story in Watch Dogs 2, while it wasn't great, at the same time game, it was still pretty good to where it's able to hold its own. And then we get on to Watch Dogs Legion. In regards to Watch Dogs Legion, the only thing that I could say that Ubisoft has bothered to expand upon for that game is the fact that you were able to play as anybody, and that's no exaggeration. Like, you could legit play as anybody that you wanted to. It was pretty much the only thing that Ubisoft bothered to market to get people excited for Watch Dogs Legion. They didn't really bother to go into too much detail in regards to other aspects of gameplay to get people more and more excited for Legion. I still remember the gameplay demo that we got for Watch Dogs 2, where Ubisoft gave us an extensive look in regards to the aspects of gameplay and what they have improved upon to make the experience better. Sadly, we did not get that with Watch Dogs Legion because, again, the only thing that they bothered to market was the fact that you could play as anyone. Once you played enough of the game, you eventually realized that this is a downgrade from what we had in the second. The ability to hack NPCs to call gang members or cops on them, that was removed. The hacking in Legion just felt like a big downgrade in comparison to the second. It was so bad to which you couldn't even commit a blackout, which has become such a trademark of the franchise. As far as the other gameplay mechanics like parkour and all that, it didn't feel as good or as fluid as it did in the second game. The driving was basically a mix of Watch Dogs 1 and 2, so there was like a middle ground to it. And as far as the open world of London, to be honest with you, I thought it was a pretty good open world. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty good, but I can't say it was great. It wasn't great in the sense of like, it wasn't as immersive and as alive as San Francisco did in Watch Dogs 2. And as far as the story goes, I would go as far as to say that the story in Watch Dogs Legion was the weakest in the whole franchise. Not only did the game have a bit too many villains, but they didn't have unique personalities that would make themselves stand out from one another. As a matter of fact, the only villain that I could recall that I thought was the most compelling and unique was Mary Kelly, who was the leader of the Clan Kelly faction in Legion. Overall, the villains, the protagonists, and the overall story in Watch Dogs Legion, it just wasn't captivating or riveting enough for me to even want to care. Which is why I definitely say that Legion's story was the weakest one in the whole entire series. I also think another issue with the Watch Dogs franchise was that everything that it was supposed to improve upon, there were some things that were improved upon in later entries, but then the more we got, as some of the things that were being improved upon in later entries ended up getting taken away from us, which resulted in it being a less quality title. Like, for example, the concept of being able to play as anyone in Legion. On paper, it's a pretty damn good concept, albeit it's a very ambitious thing to do in a video game, but at the same time, what Ubisoft had planned and what they intended to do with Legion, it looked pretty exciting. However, in execution, it was just poor. Like, they did not manage to stick the landing and give us a fully fleshed out concept that we, the players, could be amazed with. Okay, so I completed 2 of those 3 camo challenges. Alright. For anybody that's curious, I finished up the MCW, so now I'm doing the MTZ. It would really break my heart if the Watch Dogs franchise is indeed dead and buried. Because, to be honest with you, I honestly think the Watch Dogs franchise, had it been given more love and had Ubisoft decided to invest in it despite its shortcomings, I think the Watch Dogs franchise could be on the level of Assassin's Creed. Because at this point, like, Ubisoft is pretty much depending on Assassin's Creed to carry the company forward. I mean, they do have some other IPs like Far Cry, The Crew, you name it, but for the most part, Assassin's Creed is like that one franchise that Ubisoft has been able to make the most of their return of investment on. I genuinely think that if Ubisoft invested a lot more love and money and time into the Watch Dogs franchise to have it flourish to the level that Assassin's Creed has over the last decade plus, I genuinely think this franchise would not be on thin ice. I still want Watch Dogs to live. I still want the franchise to succeed, and I still want to see more entries in the series. But unfortunately, with how the performance of the series has done so far, financially and critically, I just can't help but think to myself, it might be the end. It honestly might be the end of the series. Because if you think about it, dude, the last game that we got was Legion. And that was over 3 years ago. And ever since then, we haven't heard anything in regards to whether or not we might get another entry in the series. But I will say, like, if Ubisoft does think that the Watch Dogs series doesn't have a future going forward, while it would break my heart, at the same time, I would accept it as is. If anything, man, they should just let Ubisoft Montreal handle the series, because if anything, those guys, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were cooking with Watch Dogs. They knew what they were doing in comparison to Ubisoft Toronto. But we still have yet to hear from Ubisoft themselves in regards to what the future holds for Watch Dogs. We still don't know if we're going to get another game, although the only thing that we have gotten as far as news around the franchise is that we are getting a movie. We are indeed getting a movie around the Watch Dogs IP, although if I recall, I remember there being news about that like almost a decade ago, but nothing new came about that. So the fact that we're once again being confirmed that a Watch Dogs movie is coming, I mean, I'm not sure if it actually is coming, but if it does, I'm looking forward to it. I'm honestly looking forward to seeing what they might cook. We did get a movie with Assassin's Creed, and even though that ended up not doing well, at the same time, I still want to see them take a chance at making a movie around Watch Dogs. I still think the series is on thin ice, and until we get some confirmation from Ubisoft as to what the future holds for the franchise, I honestly doubt we might get another game. I doubt we might get another one, especially since we haven't heard much as to whether or not a fourth Watch Dogs title is in development. But I want to know from you guys, did you ever play Watch Dogs at any point in your life? And if so, which entries were your favorite? And do you think the series does have a future going forward? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to know what you guys have to say. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, you're more than welcome to drop a like on it. And if you enjoy this type of content, you're more than welcome to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. It's been your boy Discreet, and I'll catch you in the next video.